So very good to see all of you this morning. We're going to begin our celebration of innovation today with a short video clip.
From WTVM, this is an editorial and call to action from Vice President and General Manager Holly Stewart.
Whether you have young children just entering school or you're aging out of the workforce yourself, one of the most important things that will affect all of us is STEM, or S-T-E-M, education. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And schools like Phenix City are leading the way in preparing students to be the innovators we need them to be to help us live better lives in the next 10 to 30 years. You may have seen some of these students in special spots we've been airing to highlight the need for STEM education. Phenix City has bold plans to build a special STEM lab in 2016 and offers classes in engineering, computer coding, robotics, and digital media starting in the 6th grade. Just last week, schools in Troup, Meriwether, and Harris counties got a big boost from the nearby Kia Motors plant, $400,000 in support of STEM classes that will produce the next generation of engineers, scientists, and highly specialized technicians, the kind of employers will be looking for. Meanwhile, the Friends of Phenix City Schools need support for their STEM program, a very ambitious and focused effort to inspire students to embrace and excel at science, technology, engineering, and math, and show how it can be exciting and fun. You can play a direct part in inspiring the next biomedical engineer or the next robotic designer, someone who may solve our future health or technology problems because of the STEM education they got at Phenix City Schools. We have a link to the Friends of Phenix City Schools on our website at WTVM.com under local. And we urge you to make any size donation to the STEM initiative. We think Phenix City's vision for their students is a formula that adds up to success for all of us.
If you would like to respond, please go to the...
Well, that was a pretty good video to start the day today. Welcome to our celebration of innovation. We're so excited that you have chosen to be with us today. We're very excited about Dr. Bice being with us today. He tells me that he has no schedule today and he's just with us all day and he's just going to sit back and relax because there's nothing to do there in Montgomery or anywhere else in the state. But we are excited, sir, that you're here with us today. We're going to talk a lot about STEM education. What we're trying to do here in Phenix City is STEM students out of poverty. We're trying to give our students an opportunity as far as being able to compete for jobs in this economy, not only here in Phenix City, but on a global level today. So there are a lot of things that we've learned about STEM education in the last couple of weeks. Number one, STEM's not a classroom. We're going to look at the Dyer Family STEM Center this morning, or the beginnings of it, sir. And it's not about brick and mortar today. It's really more about a culture within those walls. And we're trying to change that culture here in Phenix City. And we believe that everything, and we've got a lot of people today that are here supporting workforce development. We believe that STEM jobs are going to be very prevalent in the future, not only here in Phenix City, but again, worldwide. All of you that have been to any of our professional development or to our institute, you know the answers to these questions today. What is the number one most prevalent job in Phenix City? Okay, Phenix City Board of Education employees, you're supposed to answer. It's a meat cutter, it's a poultry cutter, it's a butcher, it's someone that slices and dices. More jobs in Phenix City in that area than any other. And it's the fastest growing. And those jobs have provided well for a lot of families in Phenix City. But I think all of us aspire for our students to do a little better than that. And that average income is about $11.50 an hour. Number two most prevalent job in Phenix City is that of a cashier. Very good. You will all get paid at the end of the month. I was worried there just for a moment. We're like a lot of school systems, Dr. Bice, in the state of Alabama. There's a fair amount of poverty within Phenix City. And I know that how we define poverty at the national level has changed. I still look at it as number of kids free and reduced lunch. And we've got about 70%. So do we think that we can stem kids out of poverty? Absolutely. And we've been working very hard at that. We know that 71% of all jobs in the U.S. are going to require some type of STEM abilities by 2018. We want every child to be a graduate. We want every child to be prepared for those those STEM job openings. We know from Dr. Cindy Moss, Miss Amy Norr, where are you? She is in the back there with Discovery Education, recently told us that in the state of Alabama, that we're projected by the year 2018 to have some 110,000 STEM jobs available here in the state. When you go over to Georgia, there's actually twice that number. When you go down to Florida, there's almost 500,000 STEM jobs that will be available in the very near future. So I want you to think in terms of STEM today. I certainly want you to think about the I3 initiative. The way Dr. Bice got to Phenix City today was by Walgreens and Miss Marie Long directing him in. No, actually it was an application that we filled out some months ago in regards to innovation and what we are doing. And Dr. Bice, we follow you on Twitter. We retweet all the time, the ALSDE. And we've noted where you've been and what you've seen. And we're doing a lot of great things in Phenix City Schools and have been doing for quite some time now. The direction has changed, and we're all about inquiry-based pedagogy. We're all about innovative resources, and we're all about learning and teaching and the facilitation thereof that has impact in the lives of our young people. So is it applicable, that which we teach in the classroom? Absolutely. So those are our 3 I's today. And Miss Fran Ellis was so nice this morning to wear her shirt today. She's got her I3 shirt on. I told her she'd have to model that for us just in a few minutes. So we're going to talk about all things I3. We're going to look at this process as we have developed it over the last 16 or 18 months and how it pertains to K through 12 education. So we're actually going to tour 3 different schools today in about 2.5 hours. I want to recognize, of course, several of our guests this morning. Again, we're very ecstatic, very proud to have Dr. Bice with us today. He is our Alabama State Department of Education. He is our superintendent, and he's done a tremendous job in the state the last several years, leading and guiding us through a lot of changes. And his next opportunity will be with the former, what used to be No Child Left Behind, the new ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act. Yes, I've had to practice that just like we did No Child Left Behind back in 2001. But he's been there and he's seen those things, and I'm sure we'll have a great plan as we transition into this next phase, and looking very much forward to that. So we're excited that he's here with us today. Dr. Philip Cleveland, if you will, please, homecoming wave. Okay, got to close the hand, the palm, there you go, open it up like that. Deputy State Superintendent for Career Tech and Workforce Development is with us today, so we're very glad that he is here. Dr. Jeff Langham, again, homecoming wave, sir. There you go. All right. We don't have a lefty in the crowd just yet, I've noticed. He is our Assistant State Superintendent for External Affairs, and we're very glad that he is with us. Miss Karen Porter. Miss Porter is down front, all the way from Auburn this morning. She understands fast time, so we're glad that she's here. She is the coordinator for the Innovation Zone. And Mr. Josh Laney, one of our very own that has returned back with us today. Of course, he used to be the director at the Career Tech Center there here in Phenix City, and he is, of course, our Assistant Director for Workforce Development for the state now. So, Mr. Laney, it's great to have you back home. Not that you ever leave that very often, but it's good to have you with us today. Miss Melissa Valdez. Miss Melissa is here with us today, representing public information there at the State Department. And Mr. Darren Gilly from the State Department is also with us in the back. He's with media, I assume. Mr. Gil Dyer is with us today. Mr. Dyer, where are you? Mr. Dyer, I hope you get an opportunity. That was good. You've been working on that, right? Mr. Dyer is one of our many Friends of Phenix City Schools, and we're going to talk a lot about Friends of Phenix City Schools today. It's a grassroots effort to raise money for state-of-the-art technology that's going inside the STEM Center. Okay? Mr. Dyer stepped up to the plate first and foremost, contributed $150,000 to the effort. Therefore, the center will be named for him. He got us started. I think that deserves another round of applause. By June the 18th, and since then, Dr. Bice, we have more than 180 friends throughout the area, throughout, I don't know, certainly the state, 2 states here, and we've raised so far $735,000 toward that effort. So we're very proud of that, and that's been done since June the 18th. And of course, that'll be a reoccurring theme throughout the day. Dr. Jones from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, we're very glad that you are here. We're going to talk about P20 all day long, and I've already preempted the discussion with Dr. Bice in the back to talk about how important our higher education partners are. Mr. Jim McNair, Jim is with us today from Columbus Technical College. If you will wave to Dr. Bice, I want to make sure that he ties faces with all the names that are here today. Do we have any other higher education people that have come? Miss Amy in the back representing Troy University. Very good. Dr. Bice, she has been with us, sitting in on all of our professional development as we implement STEM throughout the system through utilizing Discovery Education. So she's been there the entire time. And Mary Lowe. Mary Lowe, I saw you walk in the back. Mary Lowe, so good to have you with us today. And Mayor Lowe has been there with us the entire way, and the city council recently gave the schools of that Friends of Phenix City Schools, we're utilizing the money that they have contributed, $200,000 to the cause. So we appreciate you being here today. City council person, Ms. Gilhead. Ms. Gilhead, also a part of that $200,000 contribution. Ms. Gill, so good to have you with us today. Representing the Russell County Commission, we have Ms. Peggy Martin. Ms. Peggy, so good to have you with us as well. And representing, I probably should have started with these people, Dr. Bice, our Board of Education members. I'm not a real smart fella, okay? You're going to find that out throughout the day. Ms. Fran Ellis, where are you, Ms. Ellis? Phenix City Board of Education, and Ms. Dr. Misha Patrick. Dr. Patrick is with us as well. Did I miss any others today? They're, all of you are special guests, okay? Just ask me later and I'll tell you that you're special, all right? And we do appreciate you being here today, and I have grossly gone over my 5-minute time allotment. But I talked a little bit about Friends of Phenix City Schools. Later on this afternoon, you're going to get a nice PCBOE packet that's going to have all this information that you're going to see throughout the day. We did not want to burden you with paper for first thing this morning. We'll do that later on today. And again, I can't reemphasize just how important our higher education people are to us. They have been on board since day one. We've had a lot of STEM meetings. We've had a lot of I3 meetings. 18 months now in the works. So they've been there with us the entire time. You all should have received an agenda today. We're going to cover that in detail in just a moment. We're going to talk about one of the most important aspects of the I3 movement, and you've all heard me, and I'm not going to make you sit through this discussion, lecture, whatever, in regards to, which is somewhat ironic that I talk about lecture and then I'm next breath when I talk about inquiry-based instruction. Okay? Those two do not necessarily go together, though some people would like to put them together. We're changing our pedagogy, our instruction within the classroom. And we want our teachers to emotionally, and I have to throw the word emotionally in there because sometimes we talk about engagement and we get that confused with being on task, and they're two very different things. We want our students, our learners, to become engaged emotionally in the lessons as our teachers facilitate those lessons. And so the root of all of that is professional development. And I think we began in Phenix City literally with brick and mortar. This used to be, Dr. Bice, a dilapidated at best cafeteria. And when I say that, Dr. Griffin, don't cringe. It was not, of course, one that was in use. It was storage. And the ceiling had fallen in, the floors had rotted out on one side. And our maintenance staff built this. They did this. And this is probably the first thing that we really did when we, Ms. Ellis, when we got to Phenix City is build this center, because we understand that all things, if you want to change the culture in a school system and a school, it starts right here with professional development. So we know that our students can become STEM learners. if our educators are first STEM teachers. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Donna Ash, who is our Director of Curriculum for Elementary. And when I say elementary, I'm talking K-4 through the 7th grade. So Ms. Ash, if you will, please come forward.
Good morning. So what does it take for us to be schools of inquiry, innovation, and impact? I'm so glad you asked. It takes us putting into practice everything that we know is always best for children, right? So, how does that happen? How does that occur? So at a mentoring meeting a few weeks ago, one of the teachers said, Miss Ash, if that's what's best, if all of these things are what's best for students, why aren't we taught that in college, right? So I said to them, how many of you have heard of constructivism? And all the hands went up. I said, how many of you have heard of Piaget? And everybody's hands went up. How many of you have heard of schema theory? And everybody's hands went up. And I said, so what's the problem? Because it's the same research that's been used over and over again. The unfortunate part is we don't put the research into practice. So there was a state superintendent that went across to a foreign country. And as he went to this country, he was walking with these dignitaries, and they said, I'm confused, why are you here? And so the state superintendent looks at him and says, your scores are raising, your teachers are great, your children are excelling, so we came to see what you're doing. And they said, but we're confused. All of the research that we got came from the United States. So of course, that was our state superintendent, right? Now, so we have a problem with putting into practice what it is that we know is best for children. What's the problem then? This idea of constructivism can go far to the left. So what do you mean? This Montessori idea that you just put things out there and children explore and they get their own path, and somehow in the future they'll get to this point that we're not really sure where that point is because they were curving their own path. So that's way too far to the left. So what do we have far to the right? We have No Child Left Behind, right? So in the middle of that, we have to find out, okay, we have our standards. Here are the standards. So our teachers' jobs are to sit back and facilitate that learning so that students do have the freedom to explore, but the teachers are actually facilitating them towards an end. Well, so if that's the case, why aren't we doing all these innovative, creative things? Why aren't we thinking outside of the box and exploring? Well, when children begin to ask questions, they go to places that aren't on pacing guides. And it can't be measured with assessments. Yes. So that's scary for people because nobody wants to go to those places. The case in point of the great crayon debate. Some years ago, I was in a school system. And at one of the schools, they had outlawed crayons. Okay, go with me for a minute. This is the elementary school. Can you imagine this, vision this? Principal walks up to a second grade child. Sarah, we've been told some very disturbing news. You have some illegal contraband in the classroom. Okay. Stop crying, you're in the second grade, you should have known better. All right, we need you to take it out. Wait a minute, take all of the children out of the classroom. Take all of the children out of the classroom. Okay, Sarah, empty your book bag. Oh my gosh, it's a 24 count, code 10. That's what we do in educated, right? In education. All of the creativity, all of the innovation that our children are born with, we teach it out of them. I didn't say that, research says that. But that's the truth because for so long, that's what we've been driven by. So how do we then change that culture? How do we get students to think outside of the box so that we prepare them for jobs that haven't been created with technology that hasn't been made for a future we can't imagine? The best that we can do is teach them to think. In order for that to happen, our teachers can't be a byproduct of that. They have to be at the forefront. So enter Mr. Wong, who has done studies of studies, over 200, right? Harry Wong, a lot of people have heard of him. 200 studies. And what is the number one influence factor on students' ability to achieve and learn? Anybody guess? The teacher. The teacher. For every dollar we invest in teachers, what comes out on the other end in terms of student success is countless. So in Phenix City Schools, $289,000 has been put to the side for just that, teacher professional development. And I've spent over half of it right now, but I'm still on budget, so board members, I'll be coming with it a bit soon. All right, so all of this seems like a lot. I know you're saying that's a lot of professional development, but it's all under one umbrella. Inquiry, innovation, impact. It begins with inquiry. So we look down here at, first, the curriculum. So we've purchased investigations, math curriculum, wonders. So with that, we get our AmStyle people coming on board. I can't say enough about our AmStyle people that have been in here, not just in here preaching and teaching and lecturing, but side by side in the classroom, coaching side by side with us. Wonders training and income ARI, the fabulous Miss Lee Hutton and her people coming in, again, side by side, not just lecturing to us, but being in the classroom side by side. So we can get more money for ARI and AmStyle, we love that. So that's an invaluable resource to us. We need that, and we appreciate that. So in addition to that, we get our Carnegie Learning. That is a 6 through 8 online digital textbook. Now, that in of itself, okay, might not be impressive, but the pedagogy that is involved with that particular, it's very impressive. It teaches students to think deeply and incorporates the use of technology. So it's not just about a textbook, because let's face it, we can make copies of PDFs and put them on a textbook and just flip, right? We can. But this is truly engaging students. And in addition, Carnegie Learning has sat down with our 6 through 8 teachers, because our middle school AmStyle person, we can't get to her because there's such a need for that. But we found someone to fill the gaps. So in addition to our curriculum, we have stuff like the Whitewater PD, reaching across the county to Muskogee, reaching across to Columbus State, reaching across to Troy State. CVCC, I can't say enough about how they've come in and actually been a part of our teacher professional development and told us what their research is saying about the children that they're receiving from their end. So truly making those connections. Creative learning systems, you'll hear about it a little bit later, so you got to get on the bus for that one. And again, all of this stuff to support the person that means the most in that building, our teachers. And this last one, Discovery Education's STEM leaders, we're getting ready to select about 24 teachers to become a part of a professional learning community for sustainability purposes. These are not our principals and curriculum, these are our teachers that are going to be selected and trained, not just in content, but in pedagogy and how to become leaders. Because when we leave, this thing has to carry on. For our children, that's what's best. So all of this to make I3 initiative happen. So I'm going to end with a story. A few years ago, about 6, 7 years ago, I was working at a math coach in another system. And I went to a teacher's classroom and I opened the door and I was walking over students as I went through the door, and they were sprawled out in this 3rd grade classroom. And I looked up and there was the principal standing in the middle of the room looking left to right. He was doing an observation. So as the math coach, I went around, I found a table and I do what I do. These 3rd graders had these big graphs where they'd gone home and they tallied, they charted the number of TVs in their house. And so they were explaining to me how they had made one chart and then that didn't work out, so they made a rough draft. And then they made another draft, and even though they didn't believe that little Johnny had 27 TVs in their house, they had to use his data, but they told me it was an outlier, but so it was okay. 3rd graders. After all of that was said and done, at some point in time he left, and the lesson was over, and I went over to the teacher and I said, "That's great, right? That's exciting." And she looked at me and she said, "Yeah, I hope he thinks so." And then this little thing in my stomach was like, of course, you have to. I mean, listen to the mathematical vocabulary. Think about how students own that data. Think about how they were using mean and median and mode and how they really understood this stuff. Truly, this is a great thing. But then I was worried. So me being me, I left out of that classroom. I A-lined it straight to the principal's office, and I flung open the door. Thank goodness he was not in the meeting. And I said, "Miss Benson's class, And he looked at me, he said, great, right? And I said, yes. Leadership that gets it. Leadership that gets it. We can teach teachers. We can support teachers. We can give them all the greatest resources. But if we have leaders that don't believe in that and won't support that, then we're not going anywhere. So I thank our leader, Mr. Randy Wills, and Dr. Bice, I won't even tell you. I thank you all so much for being visionaries and putting children first. So through all of the chaos and all of the yang, I know there's a more professional word for that, but you stand still and you stand firm for children, and that's what we need. And if you're in this room today, you're here because you do stand firm for children. So as you get ready to go out and get on the bus, I ask that you pardon our progress, not just for the construction that's happening on the outside with the buildings that we're building, but the construction of knowledge that is happening on the inside of our buildings where students are constructing their own knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Ash. I just wish you had a little more enthusiasm. We're only 15 minutes, 20 minutes overtime. So we got a lot of catching up to today. Great job. Thank you so much. We will know that our culture has changed in our school system when our students take ownership of their learning. Okay? Plainly put. All right? Ms. Betty Peters, so glad that you could make it today. Ms. Peters is one of our board members of the Alabama State Department of Education. We're so glad that you're with us today. So what we're going to do from this point, okay? If you need to use the restrooms, men's right out here, the women's out the doors, up the ramps to the left, not as far as it sounds. We're going to take a ride on the Magic School Bus. Be careful as you enter the Magic School Bus because there are magic monitors in the school bus. This will be the last time, other than the video between site and site, that you'll hear from the adults today. And I know that makes you feel a little bit better, okay? But everything from this point is student-led and student-driven. So we're going to have a great time today interacting with our students. So we'll be boarding the bus. If you do not want to ride the bus, you're welcome to follow the bus, but you will miss the video. Okay? So, restrooms, water, bus, we'll see you in about 5 minutes. Okay? Okay, guys, I'd have your attention. We're going to go ahead and get started. Of course, the first stop on our tour today is the site of the Phenix City Schools, the Gil Dyer STEM Center, Family STEM Center. We've got some video that we're going to show along the way. We've got media on here, so I can't call it a pimped out bus. So, it's the Magic School Bus, it's the I bus, it's the STEM bus, it's the I3 bus, whatever. Anyhow.
Okay. The first thing I want you to do is start out very light. You're going to be very light with your, because you know every earthquakes happen every day, and they're not huge, and some of them are just mild aftershocks. And so it's just going to be some tapping. And that doesn't look like it's doing much. Our populace is doing very well. But then you see your 7.0s and like the 9.2s. And hold it up for me. You ready? Doing very well. I can't. I got it. And so, you can see, I don't want to, Partopoulos leaned, it didn't fall over all the way, but we had sinking on one side and coming up on the other side. So those types of observations, I want you to compare that to your predictions. You guys get to do it, reset it, so you guys can do it too. Compare those to your predictions and record that in your science notebook, okay? I'll be walking around to see if you're really giving it all you got.
So y'all grow all this? That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Here, would y'all do me a favor real quick? Would you y'all stand right here so I can take your picture and put this out on Twitter real quick? This is pretty special.
Over here we have our bell peppers, and over here we have the red romaine and spinach and cabbage. And then in this book we have Miss Cinder uses to keep track of the bed, and she also uses it to keep track of what class we're in.
Okay, so certain classes have responsibilities for certain beds. I would love to look at it. Absolutely.
They're making a chariot, not a robot.
No, the ball is a robot.
Oh, sorry.
You would like to what?
We would like to do it.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so very much. That is just beautiful. Thank you so
Also, I'd
much.
like to give
That is so nice. This is just beautiful. I can't wait to get that done. It will look just great. If y'all will stand, two of you will stand right there. Why don't you come sit down over here and let's get a picture of the tree?
You want to get in there?
Yeah, good.
Ask Will call in, please.
So this girl, she fell off a cliff, and so they're bandaging her leg up and making sure it's stable. And then over this way is one of our sports medicine students. Good morning, Dr. Bice.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
So good to meet you.
Welcome to our sports and medicine portion of our undergrad campus. This way is our wet lab. Today we are
Decoration.
It's the forensic lab.
You want me to switch?
Yeah.
Today.
Today it does. Do you think she knows what she's doing? So far, so good. No pressure. No pressure at all. There's only 500 people watching. There's no pressure. So are any of y'all interested in going into athletic training? Do we have a physical therapy related to it? We're doing, please, yes.
Well, today we're doing a lab on testing for colorectal cancer inside of genes. I mean, a family of 52, and we're testing the DNA samples, and we're going to split them into varying lengths. And looking at those lengths, we could test for the mutated genes that tell whether or not our subjects have the cancer.
Pretty good stuff. This is high school. High school, yeah. Phoenix City High School.
That's right.
And we also operate a restaurant up here in Houston.
Oh, do you really?
Yes, we're open Tuesdays through Fridays.
During school day?
Yes, and we serve to teachers and we serve to the local area.
Wonderful.
And I'll take you over there.
Yeah. Lift this one.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I need to show this to my son. He goes to another high school.
3 months
This is where the
grandson.
This is where we come in and sit at. Outside we have our work oven. This is where we cook our pizzas. We got that a couple years ago. The Nation Dream made it.
The masonry class now?
Yes. We didn't know.
So when we built this, carpentry built the fence, masonry built the oven.
What is it?
So basically, this whole restaurant is formed by our own tech students, and they run this restaurant.
They prepare the food, they prepare the menu, conduct sales, they clean up.
You talk about where the rest of the students are right now?
Oh yeah, the rest of our students right now are at CBCC doing a catering event.
Oh, good. Good
So
for them.
we do a lot of catering.
A lot of catering.
And
Great.
it brings a lot of money.
I bet it does. And plus experience.
Wedding
Wow.
receptions, the whole 9 yards we've done, banquets and so forth. Chamber banquet coming up.
That's where you get real experience. Good for you. So do you expect to do this after high school?
After high school, I'm going to the Arts Institute of Atlanta for baking and pastry, yes sir.
Good for you. Well, congratulations. That
The
is
food is
wonderful.
phenomenal.
But I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to say it because I'm in Phenix City and the press is here, so I'll be held accountable for what I'm about to say. Randy, board members, administrators, students, teachers, I've not witnessed anything in the state of Alabama compared to this. Absolutely. That sets it apart. And I've visited some others that are doing some remarkable sorts of things, and they're focused all on the right things. But the thing that you've made really your focus is how do you invest in your people? How do you take your teachers and your administrators and give them the skills and the background and the professional development to do this new work? Because there's some of us that are still teaching that weren't taught to be teachers this way. And it's a shift for many of us, and I know that, and we've asked a lot of you, but you have, based on what I've seen today, you've not only made the shift, you've implemented. You have implemented. Every child that I spoke to, and I tried to speak to children in every environment I went in today, every child could tell me why they were doing what they were doing, which is the true measure of if a school is meeting the needs of their students. When the kids can tell you what they're doing, the ability for your leaders to talk about the future that they're wanting to create, not just for themselves, but for people that are going to come after you. I just have full confidence that this plan that you developed will get funded. If there's anything, not that we could possibly, but if the state can be a catalyst to give a reference, to call, to write letters on your behalf, my goodness, we would welcome the opportunity to do that. As you're going through the process. To the board members that I know have the ultimate responsibility for this school system, obviously you've chosen an unbelievable leader. What I have found in schools, and we call them positive deviants, we have schools over here that have the same demographics, the same type of kids, the same resources, the same whatevers. And we've got schools over here that have the exact same thing. The difference between those that are achieving and those that are not is leadership. So you've got a great leader, and the leaders that I've met in your schools equally as well. And that has obviously spilled over into your students, because student leaders in 3rd grade that were sitting there talking about the work they're doing is just remarkable. So my takeaway from this is I have a message to share to the rest of the state of Alabama. If you want to see STEM, and y'all have crafted a term that I've never heard before. We're going to STEM kids out of poverty. I've never heard that phrase before, so coin it, patent it. I'm about to use it broadly. But my message, and that's why we're doing this, is to be able to go back and through our state board, Betty Peters is here, who represents you on our State Board of Education. Our role, my role, and their role is to create a policy environment that allows these sorts of things to happen. And hopefully we're doing that on a regular basis to give you that space to be innovative and creative and to do school differently, which obviously you're doing. And now the message to the rest of the state is, if you want to see what it looks like in reality, you come to Phenix City. You come to Phenix City.
On behalf of Phoenix City Schools, we would like to present you with this gift bag as an appreciation for your visit.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I'd ask you a question, to your board and to those that are here that work in your school system. What can we do as a state department, as a state board of education, to leverage what you're doing to help you continue this path forward?
We have been to Denver, we've talked with people from California, we have been to Boston, we have been all across this state, and we're finding that we have quality professional development right here in Alabama. ARI, AMSTI, the CCRS training, all those things are highly valued. I would ask to continue to support. I've read some of the budget proposals for the upcoming school year, and I don't have to tell you this, but we do have media here. We've got to protect the Education Trust Fund.
Absolutely.
We've got to continue, we've got to get back to some type of level funding in the state. We need more professional development money, and I know I'm talking a lot about funding today, but you asked.
Sure.
So I've got a PowerPoint somewhere. No, really I didn't. But to continue those things and the great leadership, we follow your lead, sir, and you have been innovative since day one, coming into the State Department and breath of fresh air, still is. So, and we appreciate your leadership, your guidance, and I know just about everybody that you brought with you today, and they're phenomenal people. And we have phenomenal people here in Phenix City. We built this, whatever it is, vision we like to call it. Sometimes we may call it some other things because there's a lot to it. There's a lot more that we did not show today. And I just hate that the adults, not all of you, got to witness the articulation of our students today. They were phenomenal. Let's give them a round of applause. Dr. Bice, as you can tell from the Friends of Phenix City Schools and higher ed people that are here today, it's a shared vision. And there is ownership. We've learned through Discovery Education, where are you, Ms. Amy? Not to say buy-in. We call it ownership now. And there's ownership of the plan. I have to now get out of Tommy Vickers' way because he's leading. I have to get out of Bobby Cook's way. I have to get out of Mr. Suchman's way. We've got some educational leaders here today, our principal directors and our supervisors. Would you please stand, please? Because these are the people, Phenix City Board of Education. I know you're all there tonight. It stops with our leaders in our system. And so it's a shared vision, and I really appreciate your ownership and what you're doing. And Ms. Thomas, you just get out of the way, Randy. Because you're going to build your own STEM labs whether we do them or not. So that's phenomenal. Thank you so much for being with us.
And let me say this, and Betty will echo this. The board just met last week, and they made a commitment to exactly what you said, to make sure that the funding that we're able to get for public education goes to the school system. What we're challenging the legislature to do is fully fund the foundation program.
Correct.
Because if they fully funded the foundation program, Phenix City Schools would have a lot of money that they're currently having to use for things that the state should be paying for to do a lot more innovative sorts of things. So that's our goal, is to get the foundation program fully funded, and I'm very pleased to say that the college presidents, the two-year college presidents, myself and others have created a new organization called Alabama Unites for Education to do just that, to protect the Education Trust Fund. We have decided we will not stand for any more money to be taken from that to be given to something else. We have needs and
Never.